Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers, and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe button right now.
Listen, I need to be straight with you about something happening right now in baseball that has Blue Jays fans absolutely losing their minds. Kyle Tucker just signed with the Los Angeles Dodgers, and the numbers that just came out are making people question everything about how this sport operates. 4 years, $240 million. That's $60 million per year, and yeah, you heard that right. So let me walk you through what actually went down here, because this was one of the wildest free agency sagas I've seen in years. Just yesterday, we were getting reports that a decision was imminent. Then this morning, different reporters were saying the Blue Jays had him locked up. Other people were saying the Mets were going to get it done. Boston reporters were chiming in, saying Toronto had closed the deal. Every single person got it wrong. Nobody saw the Dodgers coming in like this, and honestly, I'm still trying to process what just happened. The timeline here is absolutely insane. A few hours ago, Jon Heyman tweets that Tucker has made his decision, and it's not the Mets. Everyone assumes at that point it's got to be Toronto because they've been heavily involved throughout this entire process. Steve Cohen is literally tweeting about waiting for things to fall into place. The Blue Jays just came off what most people would consider a really solid offseason. Everything seemed to be pointing toward Tucker potentially joining a competitive AL East roster. Then out of nowhere, boom, the Dodgers swoop in with an offer that frankly nobody could have predicted. 4 years, $240 million. There's an opt-out after year 2 for Tucker, so he's not even locked in for the full deal if he doesn't want to be. This is the kind of money that changes the entire conversation around free agency. The Mets were reportedly offering 4 years, $200 million, which already seemed like a massive number. The Blue Jays were supposedly in that range as well, maybe a bit lower. Then the Dodgers just blow everyone out of the water with an extra $40 million. At that point, what is Kyle Tucker supposed to do? You take that deal every single time. And look, I can't even blame Tucker here. When a team comes to you with $60 million per year, you don't turn that down. You just don't. It doesn't matter if you want to play in Toronto or New York or wherever. That kind of money is generational wealth, and the Dodgers are already a team that just won the World Series. They're stacked at every position. They've got pitching, they've got hitting, they've got depth. Now they add one of the best outfielders in baseball to that roster, and it's honestly kind of absurd. What really gets me about this whole thing is how quiet the Dodgers were throughout this process. If you go back and look at all the reporting over the past few days, there was barely any mention of Los Angeles being seriously involved. All the noise was around Toronto and New York, with some Boston mixed in there. The Dodgers were working behind the scenes, and Andrew Friedman and the front office just came in and ended the conversation with one massive offer. That's how you operate when you have unlimited resources and a willingness to use them. Now, where does this leave the Blue Jays? They've had a good offseason so far. They've made moves, they've added pieces, and they've positioned themselves to be competitive in what's going to be a brutal AL East. But missing out on Kyle Tucker stings, especially when you consider this is now the 3rd consecutive year they've lost a major free agent to the Dodgers. First, it was Shohei Ohtani, then Roki Sasaki, and now Tucker. That's a pattern, and it's one that has to be frustrating for fans who want to see their team compete at the highest level. The immediate pivot everyone is talking about is Bo Bichette. He's the obvious move at this point. You bring back your homegrown star, you lock him in long-term, and you build around the core you already have. That makes the most sense given how this Tucker situation played out. There's also Cody Bellinger still available, and Anthony Santander is out there as well. The outfield market hasn't completely dried up, but Tucker was the prize, and now he's off the board in the most dramatic fashion possible. What's really driving people crazy right now is what this means for the competitive balance of baseball. The Dodgers already had an incredible roster. They just won it all. Now, they're adding a player who's going to command $60 million per year, and it raises legitimate questions about whether the current system is sustainable. You're going to hear a lot of talk about salary caps and lockouts and luxury tax thresholds over the next few weeks because of deals like this. When one team can consistently outbid everyone else for the top talent on the market, it creates a situation where other fan bases feel like they're at a structural disadvantage before the season even starts. The deferred money situation is going to be interesting to watch once we get the full contract details. The Dodgers love to structure deals with deferrals to manage their present-day payroll obligations, so it's possible that $60 million per year number isn't quite what it seems in terms of actual cash flow. But even if half of it is deferred, we're still talking about an enormous commitment to one player, and it's a commitment the Dodgers were willing to make without hesitation. For Blue Jays fans specifically, this hurts. There's no sugarcoating it. They've done a lot of things right this offseason, but when you miss out on a player of Tucker's caliber to a team that's already loaded, it feels like you're falling further behind rather than catching up. The AL East is going to be incredibly competitive with the Yankees, Orioles, and Red Sox all making moves as well. Toronto needed this bat, and now they've got to figure out Plan B on the fly. The frustration is completely understandable. You watch your team make a serious push for a superstar, you see all the reports saying it's close, and then another team just comes in and makes an offer you can't compete with. That's demoralizing, but the reality is the Blue Jays are still in a position to do something here. They've got the resources to make another big move, whether that's bringing back Bichette or going after someone else. The season isn't decided in January, and there's still time to put together a roster that can compete. What happens next is crucial. Does Ross Atkins go all in on another bat? Does he pivot to pitching? Does he stand pat and trust the roster as currently constructed? Those are the questions that will define how this offseason is ultimately remembered. Missing out on Tucker is a blow, no question. But how the organization responds to that setback will tell us a lot about their commitment to winning right now. The Dodgers just got even better, and that's a terrifying thought for the rest of the league. Kyle Tucker is joining a lineup that already features Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Shohei Ohtani, and Will Smith. That's not fair. That's video game stuff. And now everyone else has to figure out how to compete with that, which seems like an almost impossible task given the talent disparity. This is where baseball is right now. The richest teams can afford to make mistakes and still come back and sign whoever they want. The Dodgers can lose out on a player and then just pivot to someone else equally talented without blinking. That creates an environment where teams like the Blue Jays, who are trying to build something sustainable, feel like they're constantly playing catch-up. It's frustrating, it's exhausting, and it's why you're going to see major changes to the collective bargaining agreement when the current deal expires. For now, though, Kyle Tucker is a Dodger. The Blue Jays have to move on and figure out their next move. And fans across baseball are left wondering how one team can keep doing this over and over again. 4 years, $240 million. That's the new reality. That's what it takes to compete at the highest level. And that's why this sport is headed for some serious conversations about how to maintain competitive balance going forward.